Samy El-Baroudi is one of two candidates seeking our endorsement for House District 34, which covers primarily the central city of Des Moines. This is due to a KO Abdul Samad. He'll be retiring and will not seek the seat this fall in November. So Samy is one of two candidates that we're interviewing tonight. And with that excellent introduction, Samy, I'm going to give the floor to you, and it's yours for 5 minutes.
I mean, I got to follow that, Mitch? Come on.
Well, that wasn't that great.
Welcome, everybody. I should say welcome. Thank you, everybody, for having me and giving me the opportunity to speak. I'm really excited for this opportunity, as I've not put my hat in the ring for public office before. I believe this is the right time. I'm a 29-year public school teacher for Des Moines Public Schools. I've taught at East High for 21 years. I've taught in the alternative programs, currently teaching at virtual campus. I have been the union treasurer for the last 12 years, why I have my DMEA shirt on, representing. I'm running because our state is making a total mess of education. There's a lot of other issues that I'm passionate about, but that's the area that I really believe I can make a difference. And so my goal is to come in and be able to really have direct conversation about what's happening. The new laws they're passing, even the ones that sound reasonably good, are fatally flawed and are going to create tremendous disadvantage for our school districts, particularly our rural school districts, because so many of them are unfunded, and we see so much inequity between the rural districts and districts like mine here in Des Moines. I believe some of the other things that I absolutely believe in, the voucher program is a joke. It is public money for public schools only. What we're doing is we're subsidizing 2/3 of the kids who are using it, who were going to private school before. It's a tax cut. Public schools are not for educating your child. They're for educating every child. And we need to remember that this is a societal choice, that a well-educated population serves all of our interests. It's not about your money for your kid. Feel free to have school choice, but don't take away the opportunities for others. The other areas I'm passionate about: minimum wage. I have a master's in business administration in addition to a master's in education. And I honestly believe that raising minimum wage raises our tax revenues. It keeps us from subsidizing cheap labor for our companies that we subsidize through SNAP benefits, housing subsidies, Medicaid, and honestly, the dignity of knowing you work hard and can take care of your own family. That's a shame in this state that we've lost that dignity for so many of our workers who work 40 hours a week and still go home knowing it's not enough and they're not good enough. And that's unacceptable. We've got so many issues to look at. Childcare is a mess. There's so many things. Obviously, you have my questionnaire answers. I was just reading through them just a few minutes ago. So many areas to work on, but I'm looking forward to doing the work. I'm really excited. We have a wonderful slate of candidates for District 34. I've gotten to know Rob and John very well. I like them both very much. I'm thrilled that we have a good competitive race. Whatever happens, we're going to have a good candidate here. I believe I'm the best one, but that doesn't mean the others aren't good. I know two things that are going to come out of this. We're going to energize District 34. We're not going to have another situation where a Sidney Axney loses by 2,000 votes. And number two, I will definitely lose weight as I walk around hitting doors.
Well, I can see you getting thinner already, Samy.
Angle of the camera.
Just since I saw you last week. Great. Well, we're going to give that, and thank you for finishing up early. We're going to let Patrick ask you 2 or 3 questions, and again, whatever time permits. And then we'll save a minute at the end, just kind of, so I can give you some, tell you what's going to happen over the next few days here. So Patrick Borchak is the chair of our election endorsement committee. So Patrick, the floor is yours to ask questions.
Thanks, Mitch. And thank you, Samy, for joining us this evening. As you already alluded to, you were given a questionnaire. You answered the questions and you provided it, and we reviewed it as a group. And we just have a few clarifying questions for you. So the first one was question 1B of the education section, which asked if the governor's proposed $50,000 a year starting salary for Iowa teachers is sufficient, and if not, what you believe the starting salary should be. In your answer, you stated that as a longtime educator, you've fought your entire career for higher teacher pay. Also stated that you wish the starting salary for teachers could be higher, but you did not say what you wish that starting salary would be. So please tell us now what you believe would be a sufficient starting salary for teachers in Iowa.
Absolutely. I think, obviously, I would love to be closer to 60,000. I think 50,000 is a massive improvement. I think starting there is a start. I recognize that when you make fiscal decisions like this at the legislative level, they have ripple effects throughout the entire economy, through the entire budget. So I recognize that a lot of this has to be done incrementally. 50,000 is a good start, which of course we've already lost. What is it? 46,251 was just passed. But my problem is I want to make sure it's sustainable, as I mentioned in my answer. And I don't believe that this raise that they've offered is sustainable because it's an unfunded mandate. And I think that's the worst part of it. They've set us up for failure through doing this. In that moment when I thought our governor was actually cared about us and wanted to do something for us, I was wrong. It's so frustrating. I would be happy with 50 to start. Obviously, we want to continue to increase that base over the years, especially as inflation goes up, especially as we expect more from our teachers. But starting at 50 would be a massive improvement over where we are.
Okay, thank you. Another education question. So question 2 of that section asked if public post-secondary education, including trade schools, should be free to students, and what limitations, if any, you would apply. You answered that you advocate for free community college and advanced vocational training. So now, please tell us why you're not also advocating for the final 2 years of a bachelor's degree to be free at our public universities.
I think we could get there. I think that's something we could do. Again, you have that fiscal responsibility. I also recognize that state budgets have their limits, and I think we need to be very conscious of that. Obviously, if we take all funding out of our state's systems, except state funding, that's a massive increase. I think that's something we could work toward. I think it could make us a destination for families if we offered free tuition to in-state. But I think the reality is we have to start somewhere. I think it was Ben Franklin who first said you need an educated workforce, and we need to have this in place. I feel like the associate degree, the 2-year degree, and free vocational training brings us back on par with the idea of a basic public education to educate our workforce. I would love to get to 4-year colleges all being paid for. I also worry sometimes that if everyone has a 4-year college degree, then I've cracked the joke before that the person emptying my garbage can has a 4-year degree, because the reality is that work has to be done. I would love to get there. I'm not sure that as a state we're fiscally ready to get there. I want to start with something. And to me, it's getting that 2-year level, getting that training so that that student coming out of free education has skills that they can monetize into a middle-class living wage.
So as a starting point, do you see or envision a timeline of when we might get to 4-year colleges being free?
Absolutely. I think as we move forward, as we demand more and more from our workers, and we need more higher skills, which of course technology is requiring of us, I absolutely see getting to a point of free 4-year college. I just think it has to be incremental at this point. One step at a time. Let's get these skills in place, and then as we move forward, and as we reap the rewards, people with skills make more money. People who make more money pay more taxes. State gets more taxes, we have more money. It's a snowball effect, and I think when we start to see that snowball, I think it will encourage more investment in our families and education.
The next question. So question 1 of the immigration section asked what the state legislature could do to again make Iowa a welcoming state to immigrants and refugees. He answered that the divisive rhetoric from the state and National Republican Party is reducing the number of immigrants coming to or remaining in Iowa, and that we must create incentives for public and private employment of legal immigrants, pass laws that honor and enhance immigrant rights, and punish those who violate or limit freedoms. So now could you please provide some specifics on laws you would pass and laws you would eliminate to make Iowa more welcoming?
Absolutely. Number 1 is we need to eliminate the English-only law. Someone who needs public services should be able to access them where they are, which may be in a different language. And we need to stop this nonsense of, if you don't speak English, you don't belong here. You know, we didn't speak the native tongue when we came here across the Illinois border back in the 1830s. We need to recognize that we need to welcome immigrants. I think we need a vast investment in English language learner education, not just at the high school level, but also for adults who are coming here and struggling with language and struggling with those skills. Let's take that free education component a step further. Let's tax incentivize companies to train immigrant workers coming in for the skills that they need, in addition to having those opportunities. If our community colleges are free and they have the adequate resources to provide education, maybe not so in the language of the person coming in, but with language assistance that allows them to build the skills to enter our workforce and function in our economy, I think that would be massive. We need to become a welcoming place. I had the opportunity to meet Governor Ray many years ago. My daughter was in his granddaughter's class and got to go to a pool party, and he was there. What an amazing man and what amazing inspiration. I wish we had Republicans like that right now who admired the hard work of immigrants and gave them opportunity, because that's where we're going to grow. We don't have the workforce to support this state. People are leaving, and people are not having enough children to refill our jobs as we need them. So we got to find those workers and those citizens somewhere.
Samy and Patrick, we have 3 minutes remaining.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, Mitch. Okay, so as Mitch already said, he's going to take about a minute at the end to kind of recap for you. So that leaves you about 2 minutes to sort of make your pitch, your final pitch as to why you should get the Iowa Unity Coalition's endorsement.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all for having me. I'm really excited for bringing education to the forefront. I believe it's not about just having an educator in the House. It's about having a Des Moines educator in the House. We've all watched during COVID when our governor went after Dr. Ahart, our superintendent. We've all watched as those things have happened. I think we desperately need to change the conversation about education in this state. As I've thought long and hard about what my goals are if I win this seat, or as a good friend of mine said, stop saying if, when I win this seat, I see myself as a voice for education statewide, not just a voice for education in Des Moines. I believe if we change the conversation in rural Iowa, we can bring about a movement toward better education policy. We need to go into rural Iowa and not talk about you need to vote Democrat if you don't like what's happening, because that's not a winning argument. We need to go meet our rural neighbors on their turf and talk about education, talk about what's happening in their schools, get them to tell us what they're seeing. Their kids are in the bus for 3 hours a day. They're seeing programs their kids loved are being removed. They're watching the student-teacher ratio change dramatically for the worse, and they're struggling with this. We need to get them to talk to their legislators and say, I don't like what's happening, change it. And if they do, great, we're winning. And if they don't, they're going to make their own mind up that they're not getting served.